Sanemi and Obanai are chasing a demon and reach an old place, but they don't see anything there. Suddenly, a demon appears who is carrying a girl. After that, the demon realizes that Demon Slayer are there, and says that he should have killed them earlier. Then, he goes inside a castle. Sanemi and the other slayers follow the demon into the castle, but they see many demons there. Just as one demon is about to attack a slayer member, Obanai saves him. Sanemi and Obanai start killing all the demons, but the other slayer members are struggling against the demons. Obanai tells them to go back. Then, they hear a girl screaming. Sanemi goes upstairs and sees many demons. He kills all the demons using the second form of wind breathing. Obanai kills the remaining demons with his fifth form of serpent breathing. The demon realizes that these are not ordinary demon slayers but are actually Hashira. Then we see the demon running away. Sanemi tells him to stop and to leave the girl behind. A lot of demons appear in front of him, and he easily kills them. But one demon takes the girl to the roof. Sanemi and Obanai also go after him, but they see many demons there. Obanai tells Sanemi to go after the girl and kills the remaining demons with the third form of serpent breathing. Sanemi then goes towards the demon, but many demons appear there. Sanemi kills all the demons with the third form of wind breathing, making it rain blood, and tells the demon to release the girl. Then, to distract Sanemi, the demon throws the girl down. Obanai saves her. Sanemi and Obanai continue to chase the demon. But when the demon jumps down from the castle, they see the Infinity Castle, where there are many demons. Sanemi and Obanai are quite surprised. As soon as Sanemi starts attacking the demon, the castle disappears. After that, we see Kanao returning from her mission. Sumi, Kyo, and Naho welcome her. Then she goes to meet Shinobu. Shinobu tells her that Tanjiro, Mitsuri, Genya, Muichiro, and Nezuko have successfully defeated 2 upper moons. But now Nezuko can also survive in the daytime. Knowing this, Muzan might send his demons to capture Nezuko so that he can also survive in the sunlight. Shinobu says that she is going to a Hashira meeting and asks Kanao to take care of Nezuko. Then we see Goto telling Tanjiro that everyone is leaving the Smith village because they are afraid that demons might attack them again. But surprisingly, despite all the destruction, no other upper moon attacked the village, which prevented things from getting worse. However, the Demon Corps has many empty villages, and if something like this happens again, they will be transferred to those villages. Goto then asks Tanjiro why he is eating so much food after waking up after 7 days. Tanjiro says that Love Hashira had told him to do so. Then Goto thinks about Mitsuri. Tanjiro asks if it's true that Love Hashira and Mist Hashira both recovered in just 2 days. Goto confirms this. Tanjiro says that's why he respects them a lot. Goto tells him that he is gradually becoming like them and asks if it's true that his sister can now come out in the sunlight. He says that they are now observing if she is turning back into a human or if she can survive in the sunlight as a demon. Lady Shinobu is investigating the matter, and during this, Tanjiro accidentally mentions Lady Tamayo's name. However, he then tries to cover it up. Later, Kikuchi says that the entire Demon Slayer Corps has been put on high alert and that a meeting of all the Hashira has been called today. After that, we shift to the Hashira meeting where all the Hashira are present. Sanemi starts asking Mitsuri and Muichiro about the previous mission. Obanai also asks Muichiro and Mitsuri about their health. Mitsuri says, "Yes, I have completely recovered." Muichiro here says, "If I speak the truth, I am not completely fine yet." Stone Hashira Gyome, with tears in his eyes, praises both of them and says that defeating 2 upper moon demons is a huge achievement. Shinobu also tells them, "You both have healed much faster this time compared to before." A little later, Master Yubayashiki's wife, Amane, arrives there with her twin daughters. Amane says, "Today's Hashira meeting will be conducted by me in place of Master Yubayashiki, as he is not well and therefore cannot come here." Saying this, Amane apologizes to everyone. Seeing this, everyone there becomes silent. Then Gyome prays for Master Yubayashiki's recovery. After this, the meeting begins. Amane tells everyone that Nezuko can now go out in sunlight, which means Muzan will now leave everything and try to capture Nezuko so that he too can walk in the sunlight. Then, Amane asks Muichiro and Mitsuri, "When you were fighting with Upper Moon 4 and 5, a strange mark appeared on you. Can you explain how it happened?" This mark was first seen in the Sengoku era. At that time, there was a swordsman who almost defeated Muzan and invented the first breathing technique. Amane says that not everyone knows about it in detail. Tsunemi asks, why was this kept hidden from us until now? To this, Amane says, we didn't have much information about it until now because demon slayers almost always died, which is why not much information was passed down. But one thing is clear about this mark. Anyone who has this mark, the same marks appear on all the people around them. Then Amane's daughter says, this is written in the diary of the person who first had this mark. Amane says, currently, this mark was first seen on Tanjiro, but Tanjiro has no idea about it. That's why he thought of delaying the matter. But in the Swordsmith village, this mark was also seen on Mitsuri and Muichiro, confirming that it is the Demon Slayer's curse mark. After this, Amane asked Mitsuri and Muichiro about their experiences. Hearing this sudden question, Mitsuri becomes a little nervous. Mitsuri somehow says, when I was fighting the upper moon, my body suddenly felt very light. How should I say it? My body suddenly became very energized, and suddenly my heartbeats also got faster. And I was hearing a ding-ding sound in my ears. Hearing such statements from Mitsuri, no one understands anything. Seeing this, Mitsuri apologizes to everyone. After this, Muichiro says, when I was fighting the upper moon, I also didn't know about this mark. But I felt some strange things. If you can do the same, maybe you can manifest the cursed mark too. I was poisoned, and then the poison started spreading very rapidly in my body. So I tried to control the flow of the poison by controlling my breathing technique. Besides, there was a child who was trying to save me and was almost dead. Then my memory also came back. After that, I couldn't control my emotions. My heart was beating 200 times a minute. I felt like my body was burning in fire, and my body temperature reached 39 degrees Celsius. Hearing all this, Shinobu asks, how can you fight in such a situation? Muichiro says, maybe it's because I manifested that mark. The difference between those who have manifested this mark and those who haven't is that if you die, you won't get this mark. If you survive, you will get it. Amane asks Muichiro, how did you know your body temperature was 39 degrees? Muichiro says that he had a fever once, and when Shinobu treated him, he saw the thermometer. He further says, I felt the same way at that time too. Next, Guillaume says, if we can become powerful through this cursed mark, we will do everything to get those marks. You tell Master Yubayashiki not to worry. We all Hashira will find a way. Before ending the meeting, Lady Amane says, there is no way back for those who receive this mark. They will definitely die. Hearing this, there is silence in the room. After that, Lady Amane leaves. Giyu stands up and says, now that Lady Amane has left, I should also leave. But Tsunemi stops him and says, what do you mean by that? We need to decide what to do. Giyu says, you guys talk about it. I have nothing to do with you. Hearing this, Tsunemi gets very angry and says, you know that you are also a Hashira. Do you want to train on your own? Due to Giyu and Tsunemi, there is commotion among all the people. Giyu says, I am not like you all. I am different. Saying this, Giyu starts to leave. Hearing Giyu's words, Tsunemi says, do you think we are all weak? Mitsuri tries to intervene, but Tsunemi doesn't listen to her and tries to stop Giyu. At that moment, Guillaume claps loudly, after which there is silence in the entire room, and everyone freezes. Guillaume asks everyone to sit down. And he says he has an idea. Then we shift to Tanjiro. Tanjiro is still sitting on the bed, eating. Kikuchi asks him about Shinobu's assistant, Aoi. Here, we learn that everyone is playing with Nezuko because she doesn't have much work in the court. Additionally, Nezuko is gradually starting to speak. After that, Kikuchi says, by the way, I've heard that the guy with the yellow hair is coming here very soon. Then we are shown Zenitsu. Zenitsu is also returning after completing his mission. Shinobu's 3 assistants come to welcome Zenitsu. Zenitsu says to them, did you all come here to welcome me? The mission was very difficult. I felt like I was going to die several times, but then I thought you all would be sad without me. After a while, Aoi arrives there. Zenitsu says to her, you must have missed me a lot, right? But Aoi denies it. We see that Nezuko also arrives there. Nezuko says, welcome home, to Zenitsu, and hearing this, Zenitsu turns red and yellow with embarrassment and happiness. After that, he quickly goes to Nezuko and says, "You are so cute that I would die for you. I would bring you the moon and stars. Now you can go out in the sunlight, and you can speak too. You did all this for me, right? We will get married very soon. You look more beautiful in the sunlight than in the moonlight." We see that suddenly Nezuko starts mentioning Inosuke name. Hearing Inosuke name from Nezuko's mouth, Zenitsu becomes very angry. After this, we shift back to Tanjiro. Kikuchi asks Tanjiro where the man with the sugar mask went. Tanjiro says that he was here in the morning but doesn't know where he went. Kikuchi tells Tanjiro that since morning, Inosuke has been teaching Nezuko to say his name so that she can remember it. Next, we see that Haganezuka arrives there. Haganezuka is in a lot of pain and is breathing heavily. Seeing this, Kikuchi asks Haganezuka to sit down. Haganezuka has brought Tanjiro's new sword. This is the same sword that Haganezuka was working on last season. This sword also has a piece of Rengoku's sword attached to it, which makes Tanjiro very happy. Haganezuka says that this kind of steel is of very high quality. Its owner must have been a very strong swordsman. We see "Slay" written on the sword. Haganezuka explains that whoever made this sword had one goal: the eradication of demons. That's why he didn't even write his name on the sword. This sword is very old. At that time, there was no ranking system among demon slayers. Today, only Hashira's swords have such inscriptions. Tanjiro says that when he used it earlier, it had something else written on it. Hearing this, Haganezuka gets angry and says that he had told him that his work was not completely finished. But even after that, Tanjiro used the sword. Haganezuka tells Tanjiro to be grateful and mentions that his injury hasn't healed yet, otherwise, he wouldn't have spared him. After inspecting the sword, Haganezuka leaves. We see that Genya is also sleeping next to Tanjiro in bed and wakes up due to the noise. Suddenly, a bundle breaks and Inosuke bursts in. Seeing this, Kikuchi and Tanjiro are both surprised. On the other hand, Genya thinks that he won't be able to rest like this and wishes he had a separate room. Later, Inosuke tells Tanjiro that their training is going to start soon. Tanjiro asks what kind of training it will be, but Inosuke doesn't know. Then we shift back to Hashira training. All the members, except Giyu, are planning to train all the demon slayers together because Muzan's target is Nezuko, so he can attack at any time, and they need to be prepared. That's why they want to start the training as soon as possible. Recently, demon attacks have decreased, giving them time to train everyone. Everyone agrees to the proposal, but Guillaume says that the current number of Hashira is low, so they need to call retired Hashira for the training. Everyone agrees to this too. Shinobu says everything else is fine, but they also need to do something about Genya. We then shift back to Tanjiro. Zenitsu is talking to Tanjiro. When Zenitsu learns about the training, he says, "Oh, I just came back from a mission, and now I have to train as well." But Tanjiro is very happy about the training and says, "By training with our seniors, we can become even stronger." Seeing this, Zenitsu gets angry at Tanjiro, grabs his head, and says, "If you say that again, I'll end our friendship. Anyway, it's good for you that you broke your hands and legs, so you can rest in bed, but I have to train here. Do you understand how I feel?" Saying this, Zenitsu starts crying and walking away. Tanjiro stops him and says, "The thunder breathing trick you taught me helped me cut the head of the upper moon demons. Thank you very much for that. When we stay together, we learn things that help us in the future. That's why we will become very strong in Hashira training." Hearing Tanjiro's words, Zenitsu becomes very happy. Then Zenitsu happily leaves. Next, we shift to Hashira training, where Sound Hashira Tengen is training many demon slayers and instructing them to run fast, but everyone stops in between. Seeing everyone undergoing such rigorous training, Tengen's 3 wives cook a lot of food for everyone and call them to eat. Due to the training, all the demon slayers are exhausted. Tengen says, "How shameful. If this continues, the other Hashira will mock me in the next training." We learn that each Hashira gives different training. Tengen is giving basic fitness training. Muichiro will teach rapid movement. Mitsuri will provide flexibility training. Obanai will teach better swordsmanship. Sanemi will give knowledge on continuous attacks. And finally, Giyu will provide muscle training, which is the hardest of all. Tengen says, while training these demon slayers, the Hashira themselves will also improve. We then see a glimpse of all the demon slayers training with Hashira one by one. Initially, no demon slayer can stand against Hashira. Later, a crow comes to Tanjiro with a letter from Master Yubayashiki. We learn that Genya is not participating in the Hashira training. Then we shift to Lady Amane, who is taking care of her husband, Master Yubayashiki. Amane tells Master Yubayashiki, the Hashira have started training the demon slayers. Your children are continuing your work so that your dream can be fulfilled. Hearing this, Master Yubayashiki thanks her, and Amane starts crying. Next, we see Lady Tamayo's house, which has an invisible barrier around it. The house is in a dense forest. Lady Tamayo is busy with her research. Suddenly, a crow comes to Tamayo's window and says in a heavy voice, "You shouldn't leave the window open so late at night." The crow introduces itself as Master Yubayashiki's messenger and says, "You are very skilled at hiding, so much so that it took the master years to find you, and now he can't even stand up from his bed." Lady Tamayo asks how they found the place, and the crow says, "The master used his human connections to track down this place. I first found out about the old owner of this house and understood how Yushiro's power works. Although I am trained, I am still just a crow, so no one suspected me. Don't worry, we won't harm you." Tamayo still doesn't trust Yubayashiki and asks what they did to Yushiro. Then she hears Yushiro walking. The crow says, "I did nothing. Let me tell you the purpose of my visit." The crow explains about Nezuko and says, "We have a girl in our Demon Slayer Corps who knows a lot about demon bodies. We want you to study Nezuko's transformation with us." Hearing this, Tamayo is shocked. The crow continues, "We want to join forces to defeat Muzan. So we are inviting you to stay at Yubayashiki Mansion." Hearing this, Tamayo thinks about how she, being a demon, can go to Yubayashiki Mansion, which is the home of demon slayers. This surprises Tamayo, and the episode ends.